Hello there, welcome back. We are going to continue where we left off. We're about to start the Japanese Grand Prix, and we'll try and power through the rest of the season. Let's see how it goes. Honestly, I'm a bit slightly excited because, as I said, considering last race in Singapore, the car didn't really work as well as we expected. We have potentially, third, fourth best car, yet we were struggling to get into Q3. So looking forward to seeing if it's going to be better here at Suzuka, but no bets. We'll power through and see if we can get a better result here. We're still third. We have a pretty decent gap to Alpha and Mercedes, 14 and 17 points, 20 points down to McLaren. So unless we have a very bad time, it shouldn't be too troublesome to keep on to that third place. It's going to be hard to catch up to Ferrari though, and for Stroll, it's going to be even harder to catch up to Verstappen, but I think second is doable for sure. So with that in mind, let's jump into the Japanese Grand Prix and see if we can get a good result there. Good start to the race weekend, 100% for both the drivers across everything, which is a rarity, let's be honest, but also because we're going to have a most likely wet qualifying here, and we're going to have a wet race itself, so could be very interesting here. We'll see how it works out. We are going to be trying to do our best here, see if we can get a good position as a result. But as I said, also we are going to have to take penalties for Stroll probably soon, because of the fact that we don't really have that many car parts. We have basically a one engine, a okay engine or a good engine, and just one usable ERS. So we're just one crash away from penalties. Gearbox 2, kind of problematic, so we'll be taking penalties at some point, but I don't think we'll take him here unless we somehow bomb out of qualifying. So we're going to get qualifying done, we're going to see where we stand, and hopefully have a bit of a fun race here. A much better qualifying this time around. We qualified 3rd and 8th, which is an improvement. There was a wet Q2, which probably helped us with, as you can see, both McLaren's out, Russell out, Sainz out, Alonso. Probably helped us a bit here in terms of, getting higher up on the timesheets. We're still no match for Verstappen, still 6 tenths behind, 4 tenths behind Perez. Well, actually behind Perez here. I thought I automatically went that's Verstappen, but actually Perez. So, yeah, Red Bull's still incredibly dominant. And we're probably going to have to try and beat them on strategy if we are to beat them at all. It is going to be a rainy event though, and the rain's going to be starting fairly early here and potentially just be wet. Again, would really like to just see a estimated, amount of water on the track, because again, this doesn't actually tell us anything. So lap 14, 15 is when the rain is going to begin. The softs are going to last that long, most likely. We don't have any fresh softs, so let's see what we can do in terms of compound performance. As you can see, the softs here wouldn't actually be a good choice either. They very quickly become slower than the mediums. So starting on mediums is probably what we're going to do. One of the longest pit stops, pit lanes on the calendar, 30 seconds. Low chance of safety car, but it is going to be wet, so I might change that statistic. So what we're going to do is we're going to start on the medium, and we're going to be taking it from there. Just start on the medium, and we'll see where we end up. We might actually push the mediums here, just go aggressive from the get-go, and I think that might be a good idea. Probably not for Stroll. For Stroll, we might just try and stick with the Red Bull, maybe get second in that DRS train, get squished between the Red Bulls. It would benefit us. For Latifi though, we do want him to try and make up as many places as possible. And let's just have a quick look here and see if running the medium is going to be, running the medium on aggressive is going to be a huge detriment. And I think it will be fine. It should survive. And again, we just want to try and get as many overtakes done as early as possible. Power parts are looking good. So let's head off to the race.
I don't want to tempt fate. The drivers are warmed up. They're ready to go here at the Japanese Grand Prix. And it's lights out and away we go.
Lights out, away we go. Again, Latifi is the important here. And there are actually all of them others are soft runners, so
That was good.
this should give us a huge potential here for just straight up doing the overtakes. And Stroll has already gotten Verstappen. If he gets Perez too, we could, you know, push ahead. But we are the quickest cars out there, except for the 99% softs for a lap or two. So this is looking very, very promising. And I think I'm just going to speed things along here to the first pit stop. Latifi will probably get Gasly, Hamilton, maybe even Leclerc. As you can see, he is doing work, and he does have every advantage currently at his disposal.
Just gained by Williams.
So this is looking really, really promising. The only thing that could actually cause problems for us here is the weather, because this might not be full wets, but I would assume so. So probably wets, inters to end, or inters the whole way. And that is what is potentially going to cause us a lot of pain here, the fact that we don't know. But we'll speed up here to the first pit stop, and we'll see where we stand once we get there. We've actually had an incident on track here, a crash. Albon running wide. I would assume he's also the potential crashee. Maybe not, he just ran a bit off the track. Nothing big there. It was just a yellow flag, show with the crash there.
So this was the Aston Martin.
I guess it's the classic running into the wall. And the hairpin, it is. And currently we are looking good, as I said. Latifi has become part of his own DRS train. Stroll is actually leading the second DRS train here. And we are just going to push. I'm going to allow the fuel to be pushed as well until we get to the rainy period, to about 1 kilogram deficit. And we do want to try and get Latifi up ahead of both Hamilton, but also Leclerc. Kind of falling back a little bit right now. So we'll see. But I think this should be okay. Still 6 laps until the rain. And we'll just trudge along. Again, we're just going to be pushing fuel, pushing tires a bit. And it should be okay. We should regain it during the rain. We have unfortunately had an incident with Stroll locking up. And he has hit the wall.
Now we see the Williams,
which is incredibly unfortunate because I did tell him to push tires a bit, try and get a bit of a bigger gap. So that's on me. The front wing should be gone here, I think. Yeah, major damage. So we are going to have to take him in. It is lap just 10 of 53 here. So we're going to keep him on full push, full attack, and we are going to have to do a pit stop now to get him onto probably just a fresh set of mediums. We could get him onto softs here because he'll just be for a couple of laps. But then we're going to have to pit him again. So Latifi is going to be our best bet here. We're having him push too. He is struggling to get by the cars in front, but this is basically ruined Stroll's race. If he crashed a couple laps later, it would have been a lot better. But it's unfortunate, but I did tell him to push, so kind of my bad. We've had another incident, this time with Latifi running wide. Didn't lose out too much there, so at least that is a positive. Basically just lost a few tenths, so barely anything. We are getting closer to rain though. It is still 2 minutes, so we are going to allow Latifi to do one more lap, because it should start raining around the time he comes in for this next one. So this will be the lap we pit for full wets. And I'm going to be gambling here on full wets. It's moderate rain, which is going to be around the limit. And again, this blue bar is pretty high up, so it might very well be inters, don't get me wrong. But again, the game does an incredibly poor job of telling you what you can expect. And again, it's just one of my main gripes with this. We're also going to get Stroll in the wets. He is a little bit further back, so we might be able to use him as a benchmark. Should probably gotten him in a bit earlier there, because the race started earlier than expected.
Seems to be quite slippery.
And it is going up fairly quick here, but at the same time, it's kind of hard to judge. Only Verstappen pitted. Okay. So this could help us with jumping a little bit here, and of course we'll be able to see what they put on. But at the same time, won't be... They're going for inters. Okay. Some are going for wets though, so it could be very well that we have made a good choice here by going on to the full wets. Latifi is now in 10th. And we will tell him to drive in clean air. And we will push fuel on this lap so that we can get by the cars in front that just haven't pitted yet. It's just 3 cars so far. So we want to get by Schumacher, Ocon as soon as possible. Stroll is also out of the pits now. He is going to come out in 19th, but we still have opportunities here to, you know, jump cars. We are going to have to go balanced though, because we have been pushing Stroll quite a bit here, just so we could, you know, try and get back up into the points. But now though, Latifi is going to, as I said, have a bit of a struggle getting by some of the slower cars, but he's doing a good job right now, up into 8th. And it was indeed wet there, so it wasn't wrong. We get by Latifi. We should get by, sorry, we get by Vettel. We should get by Russell here pretty quick too. And I don't think, maybe we'll jump Paris here, we'll see. We did just barely jump Paris as well. So Verstappen, Rick are both running Inters. Hamilton should be in the lead shortly here. So this is looking promising. Stroll is up to 14th. He is still behind Tsunoda. So what I'm thinking here is that we just should have probably given the overtake a bit sooner. But for once here, Latifi is going to be the main focus. And Latifi is the one we're going to be trying to keep in the points there. And he's already getting Rick. As you can see, he is way slower on those intermediates. So depending on how well, sorry, just give me a second to compile my thoughts here. Depending on how quickly Hamilton catches up to Verstappen, and how well Verstappen defends from Hamilton, we could potentially get up even higher with Latifi here. So it's looking promising. Bit of a shame here for Stroll, but it is what it is. We'll just deal with it, try and make the best out of it. And as I said, I will be having some changes here. This is going to be, again, on the border. This is going to be Inters for sure now. This is going to be wets for sure. So we'll be pitting a little bit back and forth in terms of lap times there. We'll have to see if it's worth it, because Verstappen is just 3 seconds slower. So unless it's about 10... Yeah, unless it's about 10 laps of different... well, this is going to be about 10. 10 laps of different tires, there wouldn't be any reason to pit. But we'll get to that bridge when we get there. Could also, of course, have yellow flags, safety cars, that changes things up too. But right now we're looking good, so we might just stay out on these wets, we'll see. Something interesting just happened, which I think warrants a bit of a pause here. The others are pitting for Inters. And that makes no sense at the current stage. So this is going to help us out massively. Hamilton pitted. Only one on wets now in the top 10 is Albon. And Verstappen is doing pretty quick lap times there on the Inters, to be fair. But we'll have to see here, because right now it could actually be... It could go both ways. It's kind of a weird one. So Verstappen had better fluke lap there because it was starting to get lower. So once it hits about 4, that's when we want to go into Inters. But right now we're actually good just staying on the wets. And yeah, it was a bit of a... I was a bit confused there, let's put it like that for a second. But it is looking really good now. We are catching up to Verstappen. We are going to have to pit onto the Inters ourselves, which is going to be a bit painful. But until we get to that pit stop period, I think we're running good here. And we are going to be getting there fairly quickly here. So once it gets probably a lap. So the question is, do we want to pit? Because it's going to get wet again. So, but yeah, we're going to be losing massively time once it gets this low. We're losing about 3 seconds at 4, but it's going to be way worse once we get here. So we are going to have to pit. For Latifi, this isn't too big of a problem. He'll be coming out around Stroll. Stroll's going to be suffering a bit more. So the other cars going on Inters early will actually benefit them quite a bit here. But it is what it is. We are going to have to make a response there. So we'll do one more lap with Latifi, one more lap with Stroll, and then we'll take it from there. I think that is. I think that's just how we're gonna have to do this. It's a bit more of an aggressive strategy, let's be honest, but I think it is one that is worth considering. So we'll give it a go, and we'll see how it plays out. Track condition has changed back to wet again, so guess we'll stay out for one more lap. Because that's a bit that shows that the estimate is wrong, and we're supposed to have 100% forecast accuracy, but that one was going down purely. So yeah, we're going to delay the pit stop by just a lap because I think we're still quicker than the cars around us. Well, we're running about the same as Verstappen. Latifi can probably overtake him, but we are still running, as you can see, quicker. So let's have Latifi just harvest. Let's have Stroll harvest, and we'll be pitting this lap because now I'm switching to lighter rain. So honestly, probably shouldn't harvest with that in mind. Let's just push. Let's get in. Let's get the pit stop done. And for Latifi in particular, it's not going to be too bad. He should come out ahead of Hamilton, I think. I hope. Okay, it might actually come out ahead of Albon. Good. Came out in 4th, so we're losing a lot of time to Verstappen because, of course, that we are doing the multiple pit stops, but I think it's worth it. And for Stroll, comes out in 14th. That's gonna suck. But then again, Stroll did have that incident earlier, which is why he's slow. We will keep things going there for now, and we'll see when we get to this rainy period again if it's going to be worth putting on the wets. It might be, but again, it's a very, very weird situation we'll have going here in this race.
By Williams.
We've had yet another incident on track, but looks like it won't be a safety car this time either. Latifi is now up into Tsunoda again. Sorry, not Tsunoda. The other Aston. We have Latifi up into 3rd now. We'll see if we can get a gap to Rick. Stroll has worked his way up to 11th. He's behind Leclerc and Gasly. We do have energy, so we'll give it a lap or 2 more to just close down, and then we'll try and make some moves. New pit stop is coming in just a couple of laps as well, so we'll see if we get some work done before that. We actually have a safety car crash on track. It's Ocon, as you can see. Unfortunately, we just passed with Stroll, and we have Latifi here too. Now, we are going to be pitting Latifi, I think. It's just going to be worth it because we are getting into that rainier period. But depending on how long the safety car is, it might actually backfire horribly. So I'm thinking we see what Verstappen does, what Perez does, and if they pit, we pit too. To be fair though, Verstappen should pit just for fresh inters. So it's a bit of a tough one here. If we want to go for wets, Verstappen is pitting. I don't know what he's pitting for, which is the problem. And as you can see, it's just going to be around the area. He's probably going to be pitting for fresh inters, I think. And honestly, I think we should too. Just get on some fresh inters here and just gamble on them to the end. I don't think we have too much of a choice really, because again, if this is when it turns wet, it's going to be wet for about. It's not going to be super wet too. That's the thing. These couple laps are going to be super wet, but we'll lose about 3-4 seconds maybe, and that isn't a lot in the grand scheme of things. And as you can see, everyone here has pretty worn inters, and if everyone goes on the fresh ones, even if we stay out, we won't be able to hold the position, I think. So we'll get Latifi in for fresh inters, and we'll see exactly what Verstappen puts on before we do, yeah, straight into the wall here. And we'll see exactly what Verstappen puts on, and Perez for that matter, before we make a decision for Stroll. So he did put on fresh inters. I think we're just going to do the same thing here. It is probably the best thing we can do, because that wet period is going to be a bit slower. So we are still in 4th. Hamilton actually stayed out, so he's going to be just eaten up here. Rick went onto the wet tires, so he's gambling. He's going to be a danger for Latifi. But at the same time, we have fuel. We have everything here. We can make some moves towards the end. And it looks like Rick was the only one with Gasly who actually went onto the wet tire. Stroll didn't actually lose out anything during those pit stops. I think he actually gained one, so that is amazing. And as I said, Rick is going to be quick here during the wets, but of course, depending on how long this sorry, not this pit stop. It's actually more wet here than I expected. Depending on how long this safety car is, if it goes for 2-3 more laps, well, it's just going to go for another lap after this one. It might backfire, but maybe we should have gone on the wets. This could be a bad idea, but we're kind of just covering up the other cars. Hamilton is going to be on very old tires and should be overtakeable. Bottas is going to be on old tires. Rick is going to be the main concern for us here. Generally, I'd say I think we have a good chance here. We are going to try and get some overtakes done immediately for Latifi. And Stroll is basically back into the points here after
in this lap, so just prepare for it to restart.
After his incident. So let's get everything up to standard. We are going to be pushing fuel. We are going to go overtake. And I think we'll do the same here for Stroll, but we'll wait with the overtake, of course, because don't want to waste energy unnecessarily before the timing line. And here we are. Get Latifi up to speed, get Stroll up to speed. And as you can see, Rick immediately overtook us. So he's going to get a little bit of a gap out front.
That was a position gained for Alfa Romeo.
And Latifi's actually going to have a bit of a rough time here just catching up. As you can see, he's already got in Paris as well. So those wet tires are giving him an advantage. And potentially we could have also been part of that advantage. He's already up in the front, 1 lap in. Neither Stroll nor Latifi has made any inroads. But we'll just have to try and make the best out of it. There's not much else to do. And hopefully here we can still get some good points. We have a pretty interesting decision to make here. Currently we're running 3rd and 7th. Stroll could probably get up a few more positions by the end of the race. Hopefully we have Hamilton still running on very, very old inters. So you'll probably get him at least. Alonso's currently doing a stellar defense. But we are having rain incoming very soon, in 2 minutes. And potentially here, this is going to bring it into very, very wet territory for the last, as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 laps. So question is, do we want to try and gamble on this? If we do pit, we are going to come out very, very far close to the back. And the question is, how much different are the lap times going to be? We can actually have a look at that. We can go through lap history here. And let's have a look at when the wet was kind of, equivalent. 35, 36. So we'll go lap history, 35, 36. We were running inters. 148, 147. And currently we're running 130 on the intermediates here. So 47, 48, and let's just see when we're running on the wets, lap 20, around there. Running 142, 140, around 140. So even if you change the wets, changing to the wets should be quicker. But it's going to be a huge gamble if it's actually going to, keep this wet for 1. And also if you get 5 laps to do it. Because if you get, 6 seconds gained per lap over 5 laps, it's going to be quicker. But it's also going to be a bit of a gamble. So we'll see here on this coming lap here. We might just go ahead and pit in. Hamilton does pit. He would probably pit to new inters, I would think. Just going to see here. Yeah, he did pit to new inters. So I'm considering if we want to do that gamble, because if we want to, we're going to have to get in now. And it's going to be worth it, because for Latifi, he's going to come out probably around here. So it is going up super quick. It's going up rather quickly, and it's going to keep on raining. So we could pit Latifi. It's the only real gamble that we have if we want to try and get the cars, you know, far up ahead. But I think for Latifi, we're going to just let him run what he is running, and we'll gamble with Stroll. I'll split the strategy. We'll take Stroll, who is not going to get as many points. We'll run him on a wet. We'll run him on aggressive, and we'll let him try and get the other cars again. You can probably get them without pitting here, but I kind of really want to try this gamble and see if it can, you know, make things really, really interesting here. So Stroll is going to come out behind Hamilton. Yeah, he slots in behind Hamilton. And now is when the fun begins. So we just have 5 laps remaining, 6 laps. We're going to go full attack. We're going to give him the overtake. And we are going to see here now if he can actually, you know, get something done. He should get Hamilton really quick here. Should actually get everyone real quick. There we go. And the question is now, the others are staying out. We're going to do the same then. Because again, what we really want to do here with Latifi is just hold the line, so to speak. Which is going to be difficult if we don't have energy. So we might want to recharge a little bit while we still have extra fuel. Just a tad here. We are going to need it for the straight though, so let's put it back to neutral. And Stroll is doing quite a charge here. Within a lap, he's probably going to be up to the back of Norris. So that gap is closing really, really quick. This might actually work. He's running 10 seconds quicker. Okay, so even if we pit Latifi this lap, it would actually have been beneficial. And potentially here, this could have given Latifi, you know, a chance of victory. But again, the gap is huge. He actually did get overtaken there too, so that's going to suck. We don't really have anything to fight back with either, which is an even bigger suck. But Stroll, again, just chewing through the... never mind.
Whoa.
Never mind. He was chewing through the field. Luckily, it doesn't seem like there's any damage.
Let's have a look. It's Lance Stroll.
But we might get a penalty there for, you know, tapping the... Yep, we did. For tapping the Alpha. So that's going to suck. That kind of ruins the entire strategy. I don't think we're going to overtake and make a, you know, 5-second gap here.
Check the DRS. Copy.
And as you see, he's just running away with it at this point. Sainz can't get... Latifi just can't keep up. Yeah, I don't know what we want to do here. Just run him aggressive, I guess. But Stroll is... Stroll was on a tear, but holy sh... Okay.
Red flag. Copy.
Let's take a look at the replay.
Oh, the race ended. Okay. It was so close to the end that the red flag just ended the race. That's the first for me, that the red flag ends the race. But second of all, the fact that Stroll had error back to back, I think in the same corner, and he actually had a really, really good shot there and making something happen. And once again, this race is probably going to be 40 minutes long at this rate. But it was really eventful. It was interesting. Shame for Latifi. Couldn't really hold on well enough. If we had pitted him for the wet set, that would actually have been really good for him as well. But Stroll basically just sent it, and it hurt us a lot. Ferrari is probably out of reach now, but at least Alpha and Mercedes didn't get any points because Stroll took up both Alphas. But at the same time, this race was a bit of a mess. This was a masterclass in mess. So yeah, we need that brake cooling up. Otherwise, I don't think Stroll's gonna finish finish a race for the rest of the season. So reaction's going to get up again. We're going to get everything up to 80. Just keep everything balanced going forwards on his stats. Latifi will still be given the benefit of getting to 90 first. Point and drag reduction far ahead of Aero. Pit crew management for Jayton. I don't know how to pronounce his name, I apologize. And yeah, Bot is happy, but what I'm very concerned about here is just how destroyed is his car. So gearbox is gone, which means we only have one now. Engine is balked at 63. ERS is kind of balked too, so we'll be taking penalties at Coda for sure. There's just no other way around it. And yeah, I'm tempted to just make that entire race its own little special edition and tomfoolery at this stage, but not much we can do there from what we manufactured. We are going to get a couple of designs done here. Chassis, rear wing, and suspension needs to be manufactured, so what do we actually have that is finishing? Chassis and suspension. Okay, so we just need to manufacture a rear wing. And that should be okay, because we'll manufacture a new chassis, we'll manufacture a new suspension once these designs are done. I think. Might not manufacture one of them due to cooling. So let's just have a look in the warehouse first for the suspension here. It's going to be a drastic downgrade by the looks of things. So yeah, we might not want to put this on the car just yet, but then again, considering that we don't finish races, might want to. But what we are going to do, I think, is just start a new design project immediately. And we could do an underfloor, in theory, but we're not going to do that. We're actually going to do a suspension, another one. And what I want to do here is focus once again on cooling for next season. We are going to be focused on cooling, just try and get that up for next season. Of course, also if we can fix the issues here that we have with losing stats, that would be good too. But we won't manufacture this suspension, we'll just use it as basically research for next season. And again, I'll have to consider what I want to do, because with the amount of projects that we're getting up to, I'm thinking that we might cap it at 3 or 4 iterations a season, and then put the rest into research. But again, I was planning to have that thing at the end of this year, so for now, we'll just keep things as they are. And we'll also go to the warehouse here and make another one of these. To be fair, if we do crash out, it's bad, but at the same time, I do want to be competitive. And the races where we don't have any issues, we're actually really competitive, and I like that. Already manufactured, chassis design complete. Let's go and have a look at this. So once again, it's going to slow us down a tad, but we'll still be first, we'll still be second here. But at the same time, it's just engine cooling, so I'm not too miffed either way. But we are going to go ahead and make another project for our chassis and just get that, cooling in. And I think we are going to do a front wing project too. Actually, we're going to do the front wing project right now, and we're going to do another one that is just focused on brake cooling, because we're going to have to get that cooling stat up because it's hurting us so much. And by making this front wing, it's actually going to be a big upgrade altogether. So I'll take this. Still going to be shit for high speed, but it's going to be a huge increase for the airflow. So we'll get this done. Won't actually get it done in time, that's the issue. So we'll have to do that as a research project probably. Or I'm going to have to nab some engineers from other projects, which is probably the more likely solution. Let's nab all engineers from this, because again, that cooling is currently doing numbers. That's probably the best way to put it. And I would love to have an intense cooling project done, but as you can see, you won't reach completion date. Could of course, we're actually gonna have to do the rush if we want to have any chance of getting it done in time. I guess we'll save it then and do it as a research project with CFD. We are just gonna have to do a chassis project then. and do another just for optimized cooling. Because again, we do need that. Put 3 engineers in this, run it in 10s. It'll be done in November. We should be okay. This should actually match pretty well with getting a... Maybe we'll do a rear wing and a front wing project. Research project, we'll see. Let's see, where can I put the remaining engineers? Because if we put them here, it's just going to be another 2 days. I think we'll put one more into the chassis here. Just cut down the time even just a slight more. And we'll put one in here. And we'll put the remaining one back onto the Sidepods. Won't really affect time too much. But what I'm thinking here is that when we start the next project, we'll have some way of dealing, so to speak. Let's see, we do need a chassis. Just to manufacture projects, we do need one of these older chassis just to help us out. But I think we're actually getting to the point where we need to actually just straight up focus on cooling, which is interesting because I've never had this issue in this game so far. So this is kind of interesting and uncharted territory for me, which is fun. We do have the US coming up next, and again, I did say I was going to try and get every race into this final episode, but we'll have to see what we do with that because, again, so much has happened, and there's a lot of things that are changing with my design philosophy, I guess you could say. So we'll see where we stand once we've done a couple more races. Might cut the final parts here in 2, and we'll see what we do here. Because once we actually become dominant, the episode's going to become shorter again. So we're right on that, right at that gap, so to speak. We have the last step remaining, which is Red Bull, and the minor step, which is cooling. And once we get that, I think we're going to have be a lot more dominant. So we'll see how it looks next season, but probably going to try and wrap this series up within the next 2 following seasons, and hopefully that'll be done before 23 comes out. But for now, let's see how this Coda race goes. And as I said, we'll be taking penalties for Stroll here. We are ready for Coda. As you can see, we qualified 3rd with Stroll, 8th with Latifi, but we are going to be taking a full set of penalties here for Stroll, so we'll be starting last. Expected strategies here are usually 2 stoppers. As you can see, medium, hard. Medium is probably what we can expect, but we have saved 2 sets of hards, which allows us some flexibility in terms of Stroll strategy in particular. And the reason why, again, hards are really good here is because to medium to hard, 10 laps, then the hards will be better, and they can last a while, let's put it like that. Softs to just degrade super quickly, 5 laps, and mediums are better. So with that in mind, short pit lane as well, just 22 seconds, 30% chance of a safety car. So generally here, hards and mediums is what you can want to go for. We could do, say, start on softs and then go hard. That works. And if we do that, we can, as you can see, something like this could work. 6 seconds save there. That is the wrong tire. So hards sound super good here, but they do last, and that is the idea. If we switch to the mediums, it would actually save us more time. And if we stretch our medium stint just a little bit, it's going to help us out even more. So this would be about 12 seconds quicker. And this is probably what we're going to do. Just start on the mediums, stretch it a little bit. When the others go on, well, the second set of mediums or the hards will go on hards. And generally, we'll have the jump on them for most of the race. So this would be about 1:35.26. This one's actually about equal in terms of time. It's actually faster. So might be that I'm making a mistake here. Might need to actually go on the mediums here. We'll see. But yeah, it's about equal, particularly if we push time strategy. I might have overestimated the hards here just a tad, but even then, I think it's probably going to be worth it, honestly. And just jumping on them a little bit earlier will give us a bit more flexibility, so I think it's fine. Again, we'll lose about a second, but it's okay. It should be fine. We're actually not starting last here, mainly because I guess someone else took penalties, so that is very good. But we're going to start on mediums. We're going to be aggressive on them. We're going to push. And then we're going to go hard. It's just a better strategy in terms of, tire wear. And particularly if someone starts on the softs, they're going to struggle. So that is the idea. As you can see, I have full set of new pieces for Stroll. So that's kind of, to be fair, medium, hard, medium is not a bad strategy here. 2 mediums are hard. I just feel like the hard gives you a little bit more flexibility.
Quite a few crowds. Here we go. It's the United States Grand Prix.
Latifi, we see soft, mostly mediums.
And away we go.
And yeah, Ocon and Hamilton are going to be crying before too long, mainly because of the fact that they're running 82% use soft. They've already used about a fifth of the tire, even though Ocon immediately takes Latifi just to prove me wrong. Latifi up into 6th though, very nice, gets signs. And Hamilton and Verstappen are also fighting, so we'll see how that goes. Stroll still in 19th, haven't made any inroads either way. Yeah, it does have 2 sovereigns ahead of him, which will be faster for the first 5 laps here. So that shouldn't really come as a huge surprise. We'll see how high we can get Latifi this race. We'll try and get Stroll to, get something out of this for him. It's still going to be a bit of a rough race. So, yeah, we'll see how we do here. We could also go a bit more aggressive here, get on the hards a bit earlier, and try and jump people by basically having a quicker car and a lot of free air. So I think we'll run aggressive on this first stint, and we'll do that for Latifi too. Well, maybe not for Latifi, he still needs a little bit extra tire life. Up into 5th now, very good. Stroll up into 16th, and we're just going to keep on working here and see what we get. Right now we do have one DRS train, which is going to be pain.
DRS enabled.
But hopefully we can get some inroads done before the first pit stop. We've had our first incident for our team. Latifi ran wide. He was running 3rd. He's now down into 9th. Stroll's done a pretty good job though. He is...
And yes, that's the lockup.
The fact that Latifi lost that much time though, yeah, that sucks. But yeah, Stroll's done really well. He's up into 8th. But that's also mainly because we've had everyone 15 and below do pit stops. So we've had 6 drivers so far pit. And, well, for Alonso, this is going to be miserable because he's already onto those mediums. So we'll be pitting pretty quickly here ourselves as well. As you can see, Stroll has pushed the tires pretty aggressively to get where he is. So what I'm thinking is we just keep it aggressive, we keep it aggressive to Latifi.
Happy to
And
increase pace.
we'll try and push for a little bit longer here, and then maybe just get into the pits. Probably should actually just get him in now. We do have the liberty of just doing a bit of earlier stop because we do have those 2 sets of hards. For Latifi, that will allow him to go full attack for a couple of laps here, try and close down the gap a little bit before we do end up pitting here. But we'll get Stroll in now. That should be fairly okay. We'll come out pretty close to the back here. The hope here is that we beat out Alonso. We did not. So we're going to be playing with the Alonso Ocon trail, but as you can see here, in terms of where we're at with pit stops, Hamilton started pretty far up, and Stroll is currently just 6 seconds behind. So I'd say currently after the first pit stop, we're looking good for Stroll. We'll have to see if we can say the same for Latifi in a while, but as you can see, he's not really gaining, so we'll just get him 2 in on the hards, and he'll come out probably behind Stroll, which isn't a bad thing because it'll be a lot of free air, and that'll hopefully help us climb a little bit further up. So yeah, Latifi should come out behind Stroll, but before Norris and Schumacher, which again is kind of where we want him. It's not the best we could hope for, but it's still acceptable. For now, we'll just allow them to run. We'll see if we can get Stroll here past the 2 Alpines, and then chase down the 2 Mercs. We've had the second wave of pit stops here. Well, basically still the first wave, but the final parts of it. And as you can see, we're currently looking actually pretty promising here. We have Verstappen, Perez, we are around there. Latifi, unfortunately, was just a tad slow here. So he ended up in the debacle, but let's face it, if he hadn't run wide, he'd be ahead of Ocon. So, looking really, really promising. But at the same time, we do still have a lot of work ahead of us. We are running a couple of seconds slower than the cars in front, which of course is worrisome. So we'll have to see if we can actually close down to the Alpine. We did have a show here, slot in between somehow, cause some problems. But right now we'll be trying to just make it to that next pit stop, and then we'll take it from there. We currently have a safety car, which is potentially an issue for us here. One of the Astons is off the track. The medium runners here, Ocon, for instance, Hamilton will probably pit for, I would assume, hards. But even if we pit for hards here, we can't really make them. It's going to be a pain to make them last to the end here. It is potentially doable, but it's going to cost us. So as you can see, 17 seconds slower, 27. That's basically more than a pit stop. So I don't think we're going to be doing that. We also don't have an extra set of mediums. I think. Let me just double check that. Yeah, we don't. We have an extra set of hards rather than mediums. We could go softs here. If you want to be really, really cheeky. But no matter where we pit here, we're going to come out towards the back. So basically, do we want track position, or do we want to pit onto fresh tire? Because honestly, I think we'll just stay where we are, and we'll jump the queue, because no tire will last to the end here. So even if someone else pits, like Hamilton, like Ocon, we are still going to need to. They are still going to need to pit again, and that's what we're going to be banking on. So we had a few cars who pit. Helps Latifi a bit, but generally this doesn't really change the big picture for us. So we'll speed things along. We'll get the safety car restart going, and basically I think be back once we have the next set of pit stops, because we're just going to be trying to stay alive at this point. So we'll try and hold on to Red Bulls, we'll try and stay where we are with Latifi, and we'll see if we can do that before we pit again. More or less everyone just pitted. I know they'll be pitting onto the hard, I would assume, and if they don't, then they're gonna have a bad time. Couldn't really react because of course they just pitted, Verstappen among them. So if we want to have any chance there, the only thing we can really hope for is Magnussen being a bit of a blocker, but that's not even going to happen either. So Verstappen is going to get out ahead of us on the pit stops no matter what. So the question is, what do we do? They're all going onto the hards. We could just mimic them and go on the hards ourselves here now. And honestly, I think that is our best option. But we are going to be stretching at least Latifi for one more stint. Because, well, the gap is just not one more stint, one more lap, because the gap is just not there to allow him to pit on this lap, and Stroll actually overtakes Paris there before the pit stop. So if Paris pits through this lap, then we could potentially come out ahead of him, which would be good. But as you can see, a lot of the other cars are pitting, and Latifi just set fastest lap on some very, very old hards. So let's see, we did come out ahead of Perez, actually quite a good gap there ahead of Perez, even ahead of Verstappen. So he did get slowed down slightly. So currently we are actually, I think, net lead, aside from Vettel, funnily enough. Hamilton, Alonso, they're going to be on older hards though, so we'll have to see exactly how well they hold on. They could actually make this work though, let's be honest. But those tires are going to be virtually gone by the end. As you can see, our tires are estimated to be just about that 30% mark. So let's see here now. When Latifi is pitting, where is he going to come out? I don't think he's going to beat Stroll, but if he comes out ahead of Perez, that would actually be amazing. And he does pull that, just barely ahead of Perez. And with that, it should allow us for, Latifi slowing them down a bit. But we'll see how this goes. There's a lot of DRS straights here. He's probably going to immediately get overtaken here. And yeah, so we'll try and maintain, and we'll see where we're at towards the end here. Currently it's looking good. Stroll is up to second place. Still got 10 seconds to Hamilton. In terms of lap times though, we are running 6/10 quicker. We have 13 laps to do it on, which should just barely, if we can push the tires a little bit towards the end there, catch him. Latifi is doing good. He's still holding up the Red Bull somewhat. As you can see here, he's currently fighting Perez. Verstappen is 3 seconds behind. He might have done just about enough here that we will be able to hold him off, but we shall see. Alright, so currently we have 7 laps to go, and Hamilton has decided to pit. That's pretty nuts, honestly, because that will mean we will overtake him, and he will fall back to, well, probably the back of the grid. So that's going to be a bit painful. We also have Latifi here, having done his magic and actually gotten up into third now because of Ocon pitting. So he even got a little bit of a gap here. So both Ocon and Hamilton decided to pit. Hamilton is still in the points, but he went on to, again, old softs. And honestly, it's looking kind of interesting now to see if Latifi can catch up to Norris here, because Norris is running, you know, basically broken hearts at this point, but it's still a few laps to go. 6 seconds though. Last lap, it was about 5/10 difference. It's going to be close. But once Norris hits that below 30 and they really start to suffer, we might just be able to do something if we push. But Norris is actually pitting himself with just a few laps here to go. So yeah, the strategy being interesting. Hamilton, on the other hand, is already clawed his way back up to third. And is probably going to actually get Latifi here. He might actually get Stroll, so I might have laughed a bit too soon. I thought there was no chance for him getting through the mess here. But again, those hards are pretty well used. I don't think he'll be able to fight Stroll proper, but we'll see here. We also have Perez and Verstappen now on Latifi's tail. So everything was looking good. Then all of the pit stops made it not good. So in terms of tyre, though, we are fairly equal with the Red Bulls behind. And the only thing here is Hamilton running those softs. So we'll see. It's actually quite rapid, running about almost 2 seconds quicker currently. So he will just about catch Stroll here, but it shouldn't be able to pass him. We'll have to focus on basically just Latifi and see if we can stay ahead of Perez here now on what is going to be the final lap. So I think we'll just give full attack here, and we'll try and push through
This will be the last lap coming
as
up.
quickly as possible. Stroll should be safe to just, you know, do what he is doing. It should be okay. I can probably push a little bit of fuel, but I want to play it safe here. Let's push it on straight though, so that we can get maybe a little bit extra oomph we need to actually get away from Perez. Tune down tire usage a tad, and I think that should be enough now that we actually get by Latifi. But honestly, Hamilton going in the soft state was actually a good strategy for him. Much better than I thought it would be, and it needs to be said, because I thought there was no chance of making it back up to second. To be fair, if he stayed on his tires, he wouldn't have been top 3, I think. But first and third here, that's acceptable. That's very acceptable for us. Pretty good. And as you can see there, we also have Verstappen finishing 4th. So that's a positive for Stroll. Stroll basically did the last 2 first here. Unfortunately, not completely, but pretty close. We were helped, but we'll take it. Good points for us. Hamilton 2nd, the Red Bulls 4th and 5th. We have Alpha 6th, and then we have McLaren and the final Merc. So with that, with the Driver Championship now, we're 17 points behind Verstappen. I don't think we're getting him. There's just too few races remaining with 3 of them. We'd have to, well, if we win 2 and he DNFs on all 3, then we could make that work. In terms of the championship, we're still in 3rd. We did gain a bunch of points on Ferrari, so they're still within grasp, but it's gonna be difficult. Latifi getting a development point. I don't think Stroll's gonna get one. But yeah, that was actually a pretty good race for us. No real, well, not big anyways, mistakes. We got a chassis. We'll still just go braking for Latifi until he's 90. And the weather center is now in poor condition. Let's refurbish that immediately. And again, we don't really care about the others here. We could probably just refurbish them, but there's no real point. I feel like these buildings mainly just, let's face it, team attractiveness is nice. The morale, things like that, raise confidence gain. But you won't ever use this, honestly. And I don't think we have any problems attracting staff anyways. So it feels like basically an upgrade to make you use more of your cost cap, which is fine. Okay, next race weekend in 4 days, we'll also have a design completed. And once again, I don't think we'll use this design necessarily, but we will be... Let's just have a quick look at the warehouse, what it looks like. This design is actually straight up an upgrade, and a pretty decent one as well. So let's just get it made. It's fine, we'll have it for the last couple of races. And we'll rush it. As you can see, we still have 45 million of the cost cap remaining, so we don't have any financial concerns at the moment. I hope I manufactured the correct one, because otherwise I'm going to be sad. So I'm just going to double check, because I have done that, manufacturing the wrong one at an earlier time. So, because of the way that the rules work, we actually do have to make a sidepod now, more or less. And we're just going to go with another optimized cooling setup. It's pretty much okay. We do need to get a little bit better cooling down for next season anyways. Get both our engineers on it. This will make it kind of hard to do a third research project. Well, basically, if we do a research project, it's going to be... Yeah, it's going to make it impossible. But then again, 2 research projects, we can't actually do that. Okay. Okay. We are doing a research project then instead. Because at the current point, we can't actually do anything that would allow us to get anything done. So I guess we're doing a sidepod research then instead. Maybe. Let's have a look. We'll do research on the rear wing. I think that's better. And we could do optimized aero. See here, as you can see here, we're losing 40%, well, a ton of low end. Oh yeah, this is gonna hurt next season. We're gonna focus low speed here and try and offset a little bit of it. We're gonna offset a tiny bit, but you can imagine this is gonna actually hurt us a lot more than you might think. So we're gonna get this one research project going. It won't save us. Far from it. And we're going to put one of those engineers on probably the suspension here, because we are going to do the other one as well. Maybe, we'll have to see. We might just go underfloor on this one and then front wing here, if we can. It's going to be close. We'll have to see what we can actually do once we get there. So, with that, let's head off to Mexico. Well, it went okay. We had Stroll on pole on kind of merit. It was wet quali. Basically, for the entire Q3 was wet. Water on track was decreasing to the end. We went out last. That probably gave us the edge to put him on pole, but we'll take it. Latifi, on the other hand, bit unfortunate, couldn't make it into Q3, 11th. Not much we really could have done about that. It's just, again, pace. So, expected strategies here will be 1 stoppers for most part. 2 stop is also viable. Compound performance, on the other hand, as you can see, the softs here will be quicker than mediums for about 10 laps. Mediums will be quicker than the hards for about 25 laps. And, well, probably going to do 2-stop here. We'll do some considerations. Pit stop is fairly short, 24 seconds. Safety car is also very, very likely. So what we do here is, what I'm thinking is, we take this strategy and we change it up a slight amount here by going onto the mediums instead of the instead of anything else, and then we pit onto, sorry, we start on the softs, we go onto the mediums, and that should work. It's in theory a bit quicker than the other strategies, as you can see here, just a bit. So this should give us an edge in terms of just as I said, strategic edge. And hopefully that'll be enough for us to, you know, get a win here. Also, it will allow us to pit before everyone else, before the hard runners, anyone else. Yeah, as I said, anyone else. Sorry, I'm trying to think and speak at the same time. And it's just not working today. It usually works okay, but today apparently it just does not work for me. Apologies for being a mumbling mess in this this episode. But yeah, I think this is the strategy we're going to go for. I don't think we have any, you know, other strategy to do here. Have been some penalties to both Verstappen and Russell. I don't know exactly where Verstappen is going to start. I don't think there's actually any kind of starting grid here. Okay, you can actually see power grid usage. I haven't actually seen this one before. But I guess that's fine. For now, though, we are just going to get into it. We'll see where Verstappen starts. We'll see where Russell starts. And if maybe we can keep the dream alive. So Verstappen took just a couple points there, down there, I think. And yeah, Russell ate most of the penalties there. Verstappen is just slightly behind them, which is not going to be a concern at all. In terms of tyres here, we are in the top 10, the only soft runner. Alonso, where we took Latifi, that's why he is there. But the rest have opted for medium, so it's going to be a bit interesting to see how this race actually, you know, develops. Latifi up into 9th, very nice. We will be trying to make as much up as many positions as we can during the first couple of laps, as we usually do. And I really, really want to have Latifi up there with the Red Bulls, if possible, because that's going to be probably quite important. And as you can see, Stroll actually has a pretty decent pace now from the get-go. We're actually going to deploy Liberty RS here. Down to about, I think, 50% should do it. And yeah, Stroll is basically just flying along. DRS is now enabled, and he's a good 3 seconds ahead of second. That is very, very good. Now, as you saw from before this race, we are going to lose a lot of turning next season. So next season is going to be a rough one for us. We can't use CFD wind tunnel on the underfloor and the wings. So that's my bad. I was too busy talking about something else.
Okay, copy.
That's also going to be a bit rough here. So we do need to try and maximize our chances this season. And already you can see that Verstappen is kind of trying to pull away from Latifi. But I think we'll be able to just maintain our current position now. We'll push fuel for a little bit longer. And we'll be pitting as we planned around lap 20. So let us see how things develop until that point. And immediately Stroll spins, and judging by the fact that he's parked, he's going to fall back to the back of the grid.
Yellow head.
We can take a look now. Now let's have a look. It's
Stroll,
Stroll.
you beautiful disaster.
What a spin!
I love how the announcer's just like, ooh, what a spin. But yeah, that is a bit sucky. Let's see, that spin loss is about 15 seconds, plus 5 we were leading, so 20 seconds. We lost a pit stop. That's gonna suck massively, but again, not much we can do about that. Let's just get on with it to the pit stop and see where we stand. We've had another incident. Multiple cars crashed. Safety car. It's the Hasses, by the looks of things. We see some pieces flying here still. And
Safety car.
safety car is starting.
DRS is currently disabled.
So what I'm thinking is that we actually get Stroll in, and we're just going to put him on another set of fresh softs. And the reason for that is that way we can allow him to push. Try and make up some positions on these softs, go aggressive. Of course, that's going to be risky in its own right. We remember what happened last time. But I think it's going to be worth it. And we don't really have any other options right now. We could put him on the hard. But if I put him on the hard, I feel like it's going to probably backfire even more. And once again, the billiard ball did get sent flying there. So I think it's the best option we have. Is it the great option? No. But it's probably the best one we have. Magnus should be pitting too. So we won't really lose any positions. We'll get a tad bit of fresh tires. And generally, I think it will be the better strategy here. It will, as I said, it'll allow us to push these softs. The only issue will be that we'll have to reset up the strategy, but that's not really a problem. Let's just speed up to the end of the safety car, and I guess we'll work into, you know, the pit stops and see if anything happens. With Latifi, we are of course going to try and get some positions on said restart, but that is going to be probably a bit difficult. We'll see.
The safety car will be in this lap.
Ending. Okay, so we need to go like this. Balance. We're going to go overtake. We're going to go push. Try and get a couple more positions here while we can. And as I said, we'll be running Stroll aggressively, and we'll probably be still pitting him around lap 20. Maybe a couple laps later. But generally, we want to try and take advantage of the current situation.
No overtaking to the control line.
Yeah.
Push hard. Happy to push hard.
Okay.
So we have those running 2 and 2 there. Makes it kind of difficult to overtake. But we'll see here. Stroll does need to get some things done. It's just what it is. Latifi did get 1 position so far. Red Bulls are going to be difficult not to crack for him, to be sure. But Stroll's also doing some good moves here. And honestly, if we can stick with the Red Bulls and they create a gap to Leclerc, that's going to be good for Latifi, but bad to Stroll. So still a bit undecided on how we want to handle things here. But on these 2 laps, Stroll got 3 positions, and we'll keep working on it. We're getting close to that first pit stop for Latifi. Still in 4th, still holding on to the front. And as you can see, the pack itself is still pretty close here. It's only Tsunoda and Magnussen kind of getting left behind. The rest here, up into 7th, is just 9 seconds, and they're basically split into DRS strings here, which has made, you know, making progress here for Stroll in particular quite difficult. So we're going to push this lap for Latifi, for Stroll, and I'm thinking that we get both of them in a tad early, potentially, but in a position where we can hopefully get some undercuts going for, well, the other cars here. They still have a lot to go on those mediums, and if they're doing a one-stopper, they'll be stretching them pretty long. We had a crash on track. Yellow flag so far. Safety car again. Leclerc has crashed, got a penalty. Minor front wing damage for Latifi. I see a car there the wrong way around. One Hamilton, and is that one Latifi? Yeah, so did he hit someone or did he get hit? I would assume he got hit, so yeah, we're not having a good day. We are going to change out the front wing. We are going to put him on to the medium as we planned. And we should be pitting him immediately, but this could be a red flag judging by the fact that the entire field is standing still.
It's chaos on the track. Let's
So,
see what happened there.
I guess Latifi did.
See the Williams here.
Oh, okay, so that could have been way worse for Latifi. I'd like to see what happened in, you know, the build-up to that.
Let's take a closer look. Now, just watch the Mercedes here. Oh no! And there's the crash. Mark my words, there'll be questions asked about that later.
Okay, so the way that I understand that is straight up. Hamilton locked up, went wide, hit the wall, and then ricocheted across the track. Luckily, we don't have to run that far before we get Latifi into the pits. The problem here is there isn't a huge gap down to Stroll, so he's going to be losing positions here. Because Latifi, well, needs a new front wing for one. And yes, let's see here. Stroll was 13th before. He's now 17th. So yeah, Stroll lost out big time. Everyone did pit. They went onto the hards though, and they did that early. Like 50 laps on the hards here is going to be hell, I think. It's going to be doable, but it's going to be hell. And what I mean by this is actually incredibly simple. If we go into the pre-race report here, hards are already half a tenth slower than the mediums, and it'll take 25 laps before they become equal. So we will have a huge advantage to anyone who just went onto the hards. Latifi here will eat up Magnussen for sure. And Stroll here should have a much easier time getting, you know, up into the ranks here than he did running the softs. So honestly, this benefits us. Bit of a shame that Latifi has suspension damage though. We'll have to see how we want to handle that. But in general, it's been quite the eventful races here. All three of them really. Yeah, we'll have to see what we do, because I don't think they're gonna be on. They should do another stop. That's the only thing that makes sense.
Well, they've lost it. They've locked up.
That could have been actually even more interesting. We could have seen Verstappen run into the safety car. That would actually have been kind of funny. But yeah, Verstappen is currently looking good for the championship here. Could actually kind of wrap it up already. Yeah, RSs are charged. Good. But we'll have a lot of energy. We'll have a lot of extra tire wear to play with, to some degree. And generally, it's actually looking good. Again, if the longer these guys stay on the hards, the better for us. Let's speed it up to the end of the safety car.
Safety car in this lap.
Which is in this lap. So let's get everything up to snuff. And
Down, focus.
we will push. We have a lot of fuel here too, which should make the job a lot easier. And we'll wait for the timeline before we go overtake, just to be safe. So Latifi already ate a Magnussen, kind of what we expected here. Magnussen is on older hards. Latifi has tire advantage to all the cars ahead of him.
An overtake from Williams.
And I would expect a Stroll to have gotten a car by now, but I guess they might have been running double to this point. We'll see. Looks like he's actually kind of struggling. But yeah, Latifi looks good. Hopefully we can get by Ricciardo, because of the fact that we can't let the Red Bulls run away. If they do, we're never going to see them again. So we might need to consider just going a bit more aggressive on the strategy, more or less tire wear, just to get by. Stroll still not getting anything done here. Vettel is being a bit of a blocker. He's actually being a very good blocker. But there we go. We are going to have some energy issues right now. Latifi did get by, but I don't know if he's going to be quick enough to actually close down the Red Bulls here, so we'll see. Stroll, though, also has a little bit of gap up to Ocon, but they're actually pitting now. That's going to be painful for him. It's going to put him far in the back. But that should be a definite one-stopper for them then. Verstappen, Gasly, and of course Rick and Perez. So that does boost Stroll a little bit up the pack, which is good. But we'll keep on going now. We have the next place to stop around lap 45, so 15 more laps. Let's see where we stand once we get there. We're getting closer to our pit window here. We're basically there. Currently though, Latifi is doing a very, very good job. He's leading. But again, we are going to have to pit here. The mediums here have done their job. They're starting to lose out to the hards. And we can actually see it in lap times, I believe. 20.9. We're still running a bit quicker than the cars behind, but that's mainly because Bottas is in charge of the train. If Russell were in charge of the train, it would have been 20.6, 20.7. So they're gaining a few tenths every lap once we have a proper driver. As you can see, the other cars back here is kind of getting held up too. Stroll has been struggling making his way through the train though, which is worrisome for us when it comes to, of course, pitting onto a fresh set of mediums. But I think that is still our best play. Just getting onto a fresh set and trying to make something happen from there on. Could of course have more safety cars, but it's far from guaranteed. So we'll pit and just stick to the original strategy. Try and make the best of it. And Latifi should come out pretty close to the back here, just behind Perez in 13th. Stroll is going to come out dead last. It's just, it's just how it be. Not really much we can do about that. So, but it should still be a lot quicker. He has 8 seconds to catch up to the car in front. And I don't think he'll struggle too much at doing that. Latifi should immediately get Perez. There we go. Now has Verstappen to chase down. And we're 15 seconds behind the lead with plenty of laps to try and get this done. And as you can see, Stroll is already close down by a couple of seconds to the car he's behind. So the problem here is, of course, as I said, just eating our way through the DRS train is going to be a bit painful. 19.5 versus 21. So within 10 laps, if we keep this up and don't get held up, we could make our way back to the front here. But as you can see, we're currently playing with Perez and Ocon, so it is causing a little bit of problem here for Latifi. Let's push fuel and we'll recharge a little bit here. Overtake. We do need to get by quickly, so that is fine. We will overtake. We'll try and get up there. Verstappen is just flying ahead, so we do need to get by Ocon as quickly as we can, and we did get that move done. And we actually have other cars pitting now, so Norris shows Sainz Ocon. Let's see what they pit onto. I would assume mediums, and they'll have a little bit of an advantage over us, and they did. So, as you can see, I guess we'll have most of the other hard runs ahead of us then. Maybe pit as well. Russell does this lap. No one else though, but again, that is good. Latifi still has some fresh air to run in. Stroll is out of fresh air to run in, so we'll give him overtake. Try and get by these cars as quickly as possible. And generally, I say we're looking at potentially a pretty good situation here. It'll depend on, of course, if the rest of these cars do pit, but Latifi is kind of nestled into the DRS train here. We'll try and do a little bit of recharging. We're going to kind of have to. Don't really have much of a choice. And for Stroll here, we do need to get by these cars. Vettel is once again being the blockage for Stroll, but he should have much better opportunity to get by this time, I think. And can he stick it? Yeah, he can stick to it. There we go. So now we have Rick, then we have 7 seconds up to Russell. And Stroll immediately gets it done. Latifi still needs a little bit of recharge, but then we need to get up to Alonso. Bottas might actually have a wonderful chance of winning here, because we are getting bogged down in this DRS train, and it is slowing us down quite a lot, I might add.
That was a stonking lap.
Stroll there with fastest lap. We are going to give Latifi the overtake. And, of course, we are going to have a difficult fighter because we have Verstappen, we have Leclerc ahead of us before we can start doing, you know, some of the easier battles, so to speak. And they're actually fighting each other, judging by the minimap, which makes it even more of a pain here for Latifi. Did get Leclerc, so one of the obstacles is gone. But again, the bigger obstacle is going to be Verstappen, and he's going to be constantly fighting other cars. So we're going to have to slowly but surely pick our way through here. And Stroll is running 19.7s, which again gives us a chance to catch up, but we have 5 laps to get to the front if we want to do that. So unfortunately, a bit too difficult here, I think, to just pick our way through the cars in front, which is going to hamper us quite a bit here. And of course, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just how it'd be. However, Magnussen just got overtaken, which should be a lot easier to get through than, you know, Verstappen. So let's see if Latifi can follow him. Currently not really making it happen. So we'll keep on fighting. We'll see if we can get up to a better position by the end of this race. Well, let's see if we can do this now, because we did actually get Latifi into a good position. He's in 3rd. He's currently running about 13-14 seconds behind Bottas. About 10 laps to go. And we'll have to see if we can actually make this happen. It's going to be difficult because we're currently just about a second quicker. So I'm thinking we're going to have to run aggressive on the tires. We're just going to have to do a gamble. Stroll is up into 8th, but again, it's still going to be quite a fight here, let's put it. We just want to try and get Stroll a little bit further up. There are some gaps appearing that will make it easier for Stroll to pick his way through this at this point. So that's what we're going to be gambling on here, that the gaps that do appear will make it a little bit easier for us to get up into a better position here. But of course, Latifi is still going to have a hard fight fighting Verstappen, and Bottas. Stroll here is gonna be suffering. That's the best way to describe it. We still have a whole lot of DRS trying to pick our way through. Might just need to do a little bit of a recharge here, which is a bit unfortunate. Or we might just get him on pure DRS pace here now on the straight. We'll see. We're gonna need to recharge a little bit, I think. Latifi is getting closer. We're still running about 1.2 seconds quicker, but 8 seconds behind. 5-6 laps to go. We're gonna need a miracle to make that happen. I don't think we're even gonna get Verstappen at this rate. Stroll, though, has actually made himself up into a really nice position. Hopefully we can get Russell as well. 1.5 seconds ahead. Russell, I think, is on mediums, though. Better mediums than ours, so that's going to be difficult. Not much we can do at this stage, other than just ride that. We could go full attack. I think they'll last to the end. And honestly, that's really all we can do. It's going to be a risk, though, because, of course, we could send ourselves flying off the track. But I don't think even if we DNF both drivers here, it'll actually have any effects on the championship. So chasing down Verstappen, chasing down Russell is probably the best alternative we have. And right now Latifi is kind of doing that. He is chasing down Verstappen. I'm going to give him the deploy in the hopes that we get within DRS. That's going to be the hope here, because if we get within DRS, we can maybe get something done. And we do have a couple of laps to make it happen, so Latifi is very, very close. Stroll's also getting closer. Could probably give him 2 to deploy. Should probably get it done a bit earlier, but if we get DRS on the next straight here, that might just be enough that we get by Russell. That was scary. That we get by Russell, that we get by catch up to Verstappen at least, but yeah. We're going to be behind, but I don't think we're going to get overtakes done, and that's going to be the big one here. Maybe Stroll will be able to pull his off, but Latifi just can't keep up. Stroll did pull his off, but can he stick in there? Just a tad bit too slow, just missing a little bit there. But honestly, still, pretty good race. We almost caught up to Bottas. If it wasn't for the fact that we got bogged down so much in the DRS train there, we probably would have caught up to him. So, one stop, it really worked out for them. Still, lasted quite a good recovery drive, considering that we had the incident earlier. Latifi, pretty good too with the damaged suspension. So, we'll take it, 3rd and 5th. And with that, we don't really have any challenge to drive a championship. And constructors as well. We are just 2 points now behind Ferrari, so 2nd place is up for grabs. And that is very, very promising. But next season is going to be a bit of a crapshoot because of the fact that we don't have wind tunnel for underfloor and the wings. Stroll here, we're going to put it into cornering. Again, we want to try and keep the stats balanced. Additional limitation just to make it a little bit more interesting. And we have an ATR period starting, which we'll probably put into the front wing. I think that makes the most sense. Either that or the underfloor if we can. It's just better that way. Suspension is in low stock because we broke it. Not really a big surprise there. Sign completed. Suspension. And I am thinking that we just do the research here. On the info, this is still slower by a bit, but it's an 11 increase in brake cooling, so that's gonna be nice to have next season. With that said, I do want to do a new research project on the front wing, well, the underfloor if we can, and I believe we are free to use all CFD and wind tunnel, and we kind of have to if we want to stay relevant next season. That's the thing here. Because as you can see, we're losing 44, 29, and 7 on, the setups next season. So this would help alleviate a lot of it. It wouldn't do everything, but it would help with a lot of it. We'd get a little bit of boost in airflow, we'd get a little bit of boost in drag, which would honestly help our car. But at the same time, we can't actually do it. We're lacking a bit of time here, and even if we put in an extra engineer, it would actually not be enough time, I think. I'm just going to borrow one to check, but I think we'd be the first, so that's going to be a bit of a yikes moment. Let's see here. There we go. Let's see if we do start a new project here. Research for the underfloor. We go... Honestly, we can just check first, so we don't put anything in. Okay, if we go low speed, won't reach completion date. Will be a couple of days too short. If we go optimized aero, nope. High speed, nope. We could go balanced. Honestly, it will actually make it in time if we go balanced. Let's see if we put in all of our CFD and then go balanced. How we're looking then, because we're still going to be losing a ton. 15 cuts the losses by a third. 12 almost halves it, and this basically, you know, almost nullifies it. If we can do balanced, and I think we will. It's just what we kind of have to do here. I think we can get away with using 5 engineers. We can, and we can do balanced. That's the thing. If we want to, we are going to still have to focus low speed. And as you can see, the number has actually gone up, and the reason for that is your expertise also scales with the amount of days you're working on it. Generally, though, it is best to get it shorter. But if you have a time limitation like end of the season, get as close to the end date as you can. It'll give you more expertise. Yeah, I think we'll do this. Kind of have to, and we'll try and use that final research project on the front wing, which is kind of cheesy, I know, with the rules that we have, but I will accept the cheese. Now, considering that we also had a lot of, you know, eventful races, I feel all 3 has been pretty eventful. I think we're going to go ahead and end it here. Mainly also because I think we are going to be maybe switching out some staff towards the end of the next episode. So I'll cut it here. Most likely, it might be a bit shorter than normal, but that will make sure that we get 2 proper episodes out of the end of the season. 1 today, 1 tomorrow. And tomorrow will be the last 2 races and the end of the season. And I think it's just better, because we still have a lot of things that can happen, honestly. And if both the next races are as eventful as this one, not only am I going to spend way more time than usual recording, but I'm going to spend way more time than usual editing. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed. I also want to just quickly apologize for being a bit whingy these last couple episodes. I've been a bit stressed with both work, but also because I realized the deadline of getting this done before 23 comes out is getting closer. And considering the rules next season, which honestly I didn't consider until a few days ago, we might need 3 more seasons to do this, which means that we'll be potentially pumping out quite a lot of Canada challenge before we get to the end of before we get to the release of 23. So again, thank you very much for watching. I appreciate all of you a lot. Thank you for all the memberships, everything, comments, likes. Again, thank you. It makes this a lot more fun to make. So hope to see you all next time. Bye bye.